What's going on, y'all? So we're back with woo, it. Welcome to Derry review for both episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 being called The Pilot, episode 2 being called The Thing in the Dark. Now, when I say that this movie, this show, that's how good it was. Might as well start off with that. The visuals, the production into this was so good. I thought you would think it was a movie, but this is a HBO Max TV show. But my God, that beginning of that episode 1. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Okay, so episode 1 begins by introducing us to a boy. This boy is named Maddie. Maddie is what you say of a troubled kid, a loner. Probably don't have many friends. I was about to say probably he don't have many friends because the whole reasoning for this scene and what transpires thereafter is because he just hates being in Derry. He feels alone. He feels like Derry is just not for him. So we introduced him. He's at a theater watching a movie. Something happens to get him chased out of the theater. Not by it, but just something. Um, but he runs. He as he's trying to hitchhike his way out of town. He's trying to run away, and he's picked up by this lovely family. At least at first, and then from there things get progressively bad. And what I mean, oh my God, this that scene was crazy in itself. And I'm just like, yeah, we're gonna keep watching this because holy, that first scene, and I think that was like the first 10 minutes, which is crazy. From there, we're introduced to another two boys from the school who were friends with Maddie, and they one who is a Jewish kid. He reminiscent to Stanley. Um, oh, I forgot to mention too. This takes place in 1962, so this is a prequel to the It the It and It Chapter 2. So this all takes place in 1962. So we're gonna get callbacks to characters from It and It Chapter 2. Like we're gonna meet like the grandparents and the grandfathers and all that type of stuff. Because you're gonna see a lot of people with the same last name as characters from the two It movies. So now that got that out of the way, getting back to the two kids, um, we introduced to them and how they are investigating the air base. More on that in a minute. But one of the kids, the Jewish kid, he feels that they didn't do enough to be there. He's this doing this is like the 4 months later, by the way. Like 4 months after the events of those first 10 minutes I was talking about. The rest of the episode takes place 4 months later after that, and we're introduced to these two kids, and then there one like I said, the one kid, he's kind of grief over not being better friends to Maddie, thinking that if they was just better friends, maybe he wouldn't went missing. Um, then we're introduced to Leroy, who is this airman, along with his partner, played by a YouTuber. By the way, he's one of the YouTubers who made skits and all these funny videos and stuff on YouTube and Instagram and Vine. I forgot his name, but I recognize his face. Um, See what YouTube gets you. But yeah, so we're introduced to Leroy, and he's this army guy, right? And he's been brought in to fly a B-52. But something is not going particularly on the up and up at this military base. It seems like they're hiding something from him, and for his part in this episode and episode 2, which we'll get to that in a few. But his part is about he's had to work with this guy that's kind of racist, that don't like him, and it gets increasingly obvious that they're hiding something from them. Also, we're introduced to a guy who is actually the guy from The Shining. Is the two universes crosses over. I didn't know this until I looked at the casting of who this guy was, who the character he was playing, and I realized he was playing a younger version of the cook from The Shining. I'm like, holy crap. Um, so yeah, they bring in The Shining and it together through one person. But from there, we're also introduced to Lily. Lily has a tragic past of herself. She lost a father a year ago in an accident, and she was also close to Maddie. Um, while also mourning her father, she's also mourning the fact that she also liked the two boys. Wasn't She felt like she could have been more of a good person than Maddie. It's like a recurring theme is everybody feel like they did something to cause Maddie's disappearance. So from there, of course, he starts messing with these kids, right? At first, I think he messes with Lily first, but then he messes with the two kids afterwards because something happens to Lily. She finds them and she tells them about what happens to her. They don't believe her, but then they get messed with by it, and that's what makes them believe it. Or one person gets messed with, and because he's a person that's not known to lie, he makes the other boy believes too. Because when he tells the other boy when he tells him what happened, the other boy is like, he's not known to lie. I never know him to lie. So if he says this happens to him, it happens. So now they believe her. So they go to investigate. They end up meeting another girl. There's forgot her name, but it's the black girl from the movie theater. She's like the daughter of the black guy who helps run the movie theater, and we kind of meet them at the beginning of the episode, at the beginning of those first 10 minutes, because she helps Maddie get away from a guy. But then they go to ask her for help because they found out that she was a witness to Maddie. She at first she just tells him to get away, but then once they say something that sparks her interest because something happened to her as well. But I think it happens off camera because she says she had a similar experience to Lily, but we never see it. But she has that similar experience to Lily, which makes her want to help them. So that's where we get into this crazy scene towards the end, right? But that whole episode, I try to avoid spoilers as much as possible. But that whole episode one, I can tell you right now, it's a 10 out of 10. That was a great episode. There was nothing wrong with that episode. That was a 10 out of 10. And that was episode 1 called The Pilot. Now going to episode 2, The Thing in the Dark. It picks up immediately after this grotesque, this incident that happened at the end of episode 1, right? So now the suspicion is getting increased. Like first, so they had a suspect in mind. You'll see who it is for Maddie's disappearance. But now after what happened at the end of episode 1, that same person is now more increased. Now the suspicions on him is increased even more now. We're also introduced to one of the kids bully. Remember the kid that was bullying the kids in the it too, or the young guy, I forgot his name. Bowers, Eddie Bowers. Well, we're introduced to his I want to say his grandfather in this episode, as he's like the police chief. He's in charge with trying to figure out what happened to these kids and what's going on in the town of Derry, Maine. We also introduced to Leroy's wife and son in this episode 2. And his son just happened to be a pretty good. He was like a genius. from there is the episode 2 is more heavily with Leroy this time around. He gets more than like in the first episode he got a few scenes, but the kids got more of the scenes and the shenanigans with it. But in episode 2 they kind of flip it where now Leroy gets it's more about him and his. You know, they take time to explore what's going on with him, and the kids still get the kids or the what's left. Hint hint. Um, is trying to pick up the pieces after the end of the first episode and continue trying to figure out what happened, where, and what's going on. Somebody gets blamed, and things disintegrate even worse. There's even another grotesque scene in this episode. I'm just like, oh my god, why? That was just so. Oh, I mean, I never. They upped the ante from the movies because I ain't never watched the It movies. The It one, It and It Chapter 2. I never watched them, and it was going. Like I had my face like that for the majority of the episode. It was just so much messed up stuff. The dude from The Shining gets more shine in this episode too. This is where you learn he's that character. Excuse me, I feel like I got to sneeze. That's why I keep going like that. It feel like I'm about to sneeze real good too. But I hate when that happens when I'm recording. But he gets more shine here. This is where we learn his name and who he is, and that's how you figure out that he's the guy from The Shining. Which means The Shining and It takes place in the same universe, which I think it was established by Stephen King that all his books take place in the same universe and just in different cities. I think that was confirmed, but you'll let me know in the comments down below if it was. But the military is looking for something. They're looking for a certain device, and they need a certain person with a certain damaged part to their brain that can help them find it. And that's where Leroy and them come into play. You will see what I mean by that. But yeah, this episode 2 was no different. Episode 2, I would say for the most part, I give episode 2 a 9 out of 10. That doesn't mean it wasn't bad. It just mean it means that they really they was really up in the ante in the first one, and they kind of just lowered about one notch in this one. But it wasn't. That doesn't mean it wasn't. It was just like, okay, they kind of slowed it down just a little bit. But both episodes was, I mean, my God, you guys gotta watch that. Like I said, I left a lot of stuff out because I don't want to spoil anything. But just know, episode 1 gets a 10 out of 10, big ups. And episode 2, The Thing in the Dark, gets a 9 out of 10, big ups. This is a series I'm going to continue to watch. I'm going to continue to review it. Because, my God, that was good. I think the next episode is tomorrow, by the way. But I wanted to drop this because I haven't dropped a video in a minute. Been busy, as you can see. Working out, face getting smaller, getting skinnier, trying to get healthier. So I'm going to try to get back into the groove of things. But you never know in the comments down below what you guys thought. And if you enjoy my review, you know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button, do all those great things. And subscribe to the channel because it puts me closer to my goal of becoming like one of those YouTubers who gets to be in the It movie. But yeah, see you in the next video. Peace.